With over 50 different stratagems in Helldivers 2, there are countless setups you can run. You want to set everything on fire? Call in your napalm barrages, your fire turrets, and flamethrowers, and watch everything burn. You want some extra protection from the bullets, lasers, and rockets? You can do that too. Take 2 shields and shoot them up from a distance using the anti-material rifle and an anti-tank emplacement. You want to get kicked? Well, you can do that too. Team kill like no tomorrow with these picks, make sure to throw them at your teammates' feet, and you'll be banned in no time. But all jokes aside, of all the potential picks and of all the ways you could play, Eagle stratagems are really the bread and butter of a Helldivers loadout. And there's an entire arsenal to choose from. Airstrikes, 500 kgs, cluster bombs, strafing runs, just to name a few. These are all versatile picks that can completely turn around fights, clear out patrols and nullify any bug breaches, and even soften up bases by destroying fabricators. Other Eagles can wipe out an entire section of enemies. Every Helldiver should bring at least one Eagle stratagem in their loadout, but which Eagle stratagem should you bring, how do they work, and what can they destroy? Let's get into it. Let's start with the basics. Imagine you're where the Helldiver icon is, you're facing forward when you threw the stratagem, and the red dot is where your stratagem ball landed. Each Eagle stratagem has a strike zone, which is determined by the direction you are facing when you threw the stratagem. Eagle airstrikes and napalm strikes land perpendicular to the direction you are facing when you toss the stratagem. Airstrikes release several bombs in an alternating pattern that damage and push back enemies within the bomb's blast radius. Napalm strikes release bombs in the same manner, and the bombs also have an additional AoE burn on the terrain. Cluster bombs and smoke strikes also land perpendicular to the direction you are facing, but the area of effect for each is significantly larger. Cluster bombs explode into smaller bombs that release shrapnel. This stratagem has a possibility of wiping out an entire patrol or your entire team. So watch out for your teammates if you decide to use this stratagem. Smoke strikes also have a large area of effect, but it's a non-lethal stratagem. It's more of a distraction tool to block the enemy's line of sight to you, so that you can either run away or go towards them and avoid detection. Eagle strafing runs are a bit different. This attack is a very narrow strike zone compared to the previous horse stratagems, and it's great for clearing out enemies that are either bunched up or are chasing behind you. Instead of dropping bombs with explosive damage, Eagle 1 fires a quick barrage of armor-piercing shells. The attack starts at where the stratagem ball landed, and then moves away from the direction you were facing. Finally, rocket pods and the 500 kg bomb land and explode directly on the beacon. Rocket pods will target the biggest enemy where the stratagem ball landed, but this interaction has been a little bit hit or miss for me. The 500 kg bomb have a second of delay before they explode, and the strike zone is a large vertical column that has the ability to destroy nearly every heavily armored enemy. Now that we've covered the strike zone basics, let's move on to which Eagle stratagem you should bring against each front. Bots, bugs, and Illuminates all behave differently. Bots want to snipe you from across the map and throw barrages of lasers and rockets at you. Bugs want to swarm, stagger, and charge you down. And Illuminates are a really annoying mixture of both. The Voteless try to swarm you, while the Overseers and Harvesters try to snipe you from a distance. For the Illuminates, bring either a 500 kg or a cluster bomb. 500 kgs are the only Eagle stratagem that can destroy Illuminate ships, and you don't even have to pop the shield. They can also take out Harvesters in one hit. The bomb sticks to the Harvester's shield before exploding, so there's a huge margin of error when you toss it. Other Eagle stratagems, like the rocket pods, take 2 or so strikes to take out Harvesters, and when you just have a couple of uses, it makes more sense to use a 500 kg that can do it all. Other Eagle stratagems, like the airstrike, strafing run, and rocket pods, can only remove the ship's shield, and can't destroy the ship even after the shields are removed. This forces you to go in close range or to take an additional stratagem like an orbital precision strike or rail cannon strike. Personally, I think it's easier to bring a 500 kg that can do everything for you. If you are already running anti-tank weapons and you're looking for an Eagle stratagem to clear out the small guys to give you more breathing room, the cluster bomb works wonders. Because you're fighting Illuminates in a city map, the buildings and terrain can block some of the damage that come from Eagle airstrikes or napalm strikes. With cluster bombs, you don't have to worry about that because it's one large shrapnel carpet bomb. Plus, as we are currently only facing Illuminates with little to no armor, cluster bombs can rip through everything. As long as you make sure your teammates aren't in the strike zone, you can clear out mobs super easily. For bots, bring the strafing run. I think this is easily the most underused eagle, and I've rarely seen people use it in my games. With the last update, this stratagem has the ability to take out bot fabricators with ease, as well as almost every bot enemy from troopers to devastators to striders. Especially in harder difficulties like Helldive and Super Helldive, bots tend to spawn in clusters and don't spread out, so a single strafing run can take out an entire patrol. This stratagem also has the quickest call-in time, and you have the lowest chance of killing your teammates because the strike zone is right in front of you, and that zone is also extremely narrow. Another eagle worth using against the bots is the smoke strike. I've seen some guys with jetpacks and smoke strikes solo entire bases, but it's definitely a tricky stratagem to pull off. Bots seem really affected by the smoke, and you can be right in front of them and they won't aggro you. And this stratagem is definitely a viable pick for stealth players, but it requires really good timing and really good usage to pull it off. For bugs, airstrikes, napalm strikes, and cluster bombs are all great picks. Airstrikes are the bread and butter of bug missions because they can close bug holes and kill, if not severely wound, anything it lands on. Napalm strikes are great for area of denial if you're playing a raise the flag mission or a defense mission, and they're great for bug breaches because of the AoE burn. Bugs want to come towards you, so if you coat the terrain with fire, they'll be easier to deal with when they come jumping in your face. Bugs also have the tendency to spread out, so cluster bombs work great because it can cover huge swaths of area. It's especially effective against bile spewers as it can kill them in one pop. So for my recommended eagle stratagem for each front, for bots, bring strafing runs because of their great utility, or a smoke strike if you're a stealth player. And for bugs, bring airstrikes, napalms, or cluster bombs, as all three stratagems are great picks. And for Illuminates, run cluster bombs to deal with the hordes, and a 500 kg as a backup to delete any heavies or Illuminate ships. That wraps up my beginner's guide to eagle stratagems. Let me know what you think, what your favorite eagle stratagem is, and I'll catch you in the next one.